Hi, this is Dr. Always, and this is the first episode for Grade School for Parents on apps. And apps, I don't care what you feel about apps or how you feel about apps. I'm not a major fan of apps. I'm a major fan of learning how to do everything, um, you know, pencil and paper, doing the tactical motion of learning. But at the same time, I understand apps are everywhere now. And your school, unless you homeschool your kids are going to be bombarded with apps. And so it's very, very important that as a parent today with kids in grade school, that you know about apps and you dig in apps and you care about apps. Now, my kids, as I said in the first episode, go to a charter school in Hillsborough County, Florida. I got twins in third grade. And so their life more or less revolves around apps at school. Yes, they still do pencil and paper, and yes, they do other things. But more or less the opening routine at their school is to open up, get a computer, open it up, and go to an app. And that's just the way it is. And especially with testing the way it is today, and my kids just got over their state testing. Testing is going to be done on apps. Your kids have to be used to apps. Now, the app or the app portal, which is the gateway to all the apps at my kid's school, is an app called Clever. Now, Clever, it's used by the district, it's used by the teachers, staff, parents, guardians, students, and so on. The kids know how to, my kids are third graders, they can jump right on here, they can log in as students in a matter of seconds. They're given QR code, but I'm going to log in on here as a parent, as guardian. I log in, ask for my credentials, loads on up. Now, the first page you come up to is, and they call this Clever Parents. And Clever Parents, you see that up here in the corner. Clever Parents is really just communications. It's just for announcements and direct messages and so on. And there's even an app called Clever Parents. And if you get that app for Pad and you click on that, it'll bring you actually into a web browser and take you directly to this page so that you can send messages and so on and read announcements from the parents and so on. But we are going to log into Clever that your kids will be using, and come over here, we click this one, do an instant log on. Now you could log on with the QR code, but the way my computers are set up, I don't need that as a parent. And so what we have here, initially it's going to bring you to this page. You got your favorite resources, your teacher pages, other apps, and so on. And favorite resources may not show up on Clever unless you favorite something. And I'm going to go down here and favor OneDrive. And you can see it popped up here. I unfavor, and it takes it back on down. And so we got the favorite resources that your kids are going to be using. Your kids will actually go in and they will favorite things themselves while they're at school, just because it's something that they may be using a lot of, or going to that particular page a lot. Now we have teacher pages, other apps, and we can just go down the room, classroom support apps, SEL support apps. SEL is support, social emotional learning, or social emotional literature. Now the interesting thing is, again, I'm in Florida. I don't want to talk about politics a lot, and this may be part of just Clever built in, but the governor recently signed something that limits social emotional learning in Florida. I don't know what it is, and even when I try to use these apps or open up these apps, it takes you to a page where you need more information to log in, and I don't have all that information. Even though it says I do, it takes you somewhere else after that. So we have our class apps. Again, we have STEM apps, math apps, and so on. And a lot of these apps I'm surprised at how much my kids use these. And also these apps take you to other places. Let's go back up here to the teacher apps. The teachers, all the teachers use this to different degrees. And even though, I can come over here and click on the art teachers app page and there's nothing on here. So some teachers, you'll see the page is set up, but they really don't use Clever. And I understand why the art teacher wouldn't use Clever. He wants to be tactile. He wants to use the paper and be creative in the class. We come over to this particular teacher, and she has more apps. And my kids in particular, in this particular one, and these will all be, I will cover these in other episodes. Things like Epic, Splash Learn, ReadWorks, Prodigy. These are all apps I know my kids use in class, and again, Nearpod they use in class, and there may be other ones, but I'm not sure how much they use them all, but I know that those particular 4, Epic, Splash Learn, Prodigy, and 5, Nearpod and ReadWorks, are often used by this teacher a lot. Okay, I just jumped over to my iPad, and these are some of the educational apps that I have on here. And again, I'm going to log on to Clever, and again, it takes me directly to goes directly into the a website for Clever, for logging on in Clever. I'm actually going to use one of my kids' credentials, and voila. And so it brings me, this is a different kid. This is the first pages I brought up are Astrid. This is Beatrice. And we see the same art teacher, we see the same PE teacher on here. But we also have teachers that really, in this particular case, they really use all Clever on their particular pages. And what we have here on this particular page is we have spelling assignments, reading assignments, and just word studies, and on and on and on and on. So what we see here is we see a lot of the apps that we saw in the other ones, or some of the apps, for example, Prodigy, Nearpod, but we also see Savvas. And Savvas is their textbooks for Florida. And all of these up here, these little pages here, actually are Savvas links that take you right into textbooks and so on. Going back to the portal, teacher page, and the way my kids are, I have twins, and the way the twins are set up is they have 2 different teacher pairs. They're not in the same classroom. So they have 2 different English teachers and 2 different math teachers. And so if we look at this particular, Beatrice's particular page, we can, I clicked on the English teacher, and if I click on the math teacher, again, I see a lot of the same type of things that are going on, with a lot of different links to things that are inside of Savvas. And again, we see the same type of things like Splash Learn. Splash Learn is used for things like math mainly. Prodigy again is used for math, and again we come back to Savvas. Okay, so back over here on the main portal, besides the teacher pages, I'm going to look at some of these other ones that are kind of school dependent. We have Power School, which is a grade book. We have again Savvas, which is their textbooks. My School Bucks to pay for things, like yearbooks and so on. Uniforms, it's a charter school that uses uniforms, how to order uniforms. We have School Cafe, which is to pay for things such as lunches, school lunches. Then we have Fortify Florida, which is to report suspicious activities at school and so on. So there is a lot of different resources. We also have the Office 365 apps, things like Office, Microsoft, and so on. And if we go down to class support apps, I think it is, or class apps, we also have Minecraft, which is a Microsoft product, And some of these, such as Minecraft, they can only use at school. And some of them, we can only use during school hours. So for example, if they're at home, they might be able to use some of these during the school hours if they're not at school. But some of them are school only specific. And coding apps and 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 apps. The kids will use QR codes to sign in. And I noticed my kids' backpacks, the teachers must be printing out QR codes almost every day, because they're bringing home QR codes every day, and they're bringing home multiple QR codes every day, and I shove them back into the backpack. But if you don't have a QR code and you need a QR code, you can click on your student's name and you can actually download a badge, and you can print that out, use that as a QR code. I have around their computers in their little classroom here, I have multiple QR codes. Some of them I printed out, some of them from the school. And again, they're typically, if they have their school badge that they're supposed to leave at school, there's a QR code that the teachers will sometimes tape to the back of the badge. So this is my introduction to Clever. My next episode, we're going to talk about particular apps that we see in Clever. And the main one that we're going to talk about is this particular one right here, Savvas Easy Bridge. That's probably the most important app in here. And especially for the state of Florida. Again, this is the textbook app, but we will be covering that in a little more detail. And there's a lot of things that you can find in Savvas that are very, very useful for the home parent, and very useful to find out how your kid is doing and where your kid needs work. And so that will be my next episode. Again, thank you for watching. If you want to tell your friends, if you want to subscribe to this, more than welcome. Comments are welcome, and emails are welcome. And I'm getting the hang of this. This is my second one. Bye.